Mr. James. Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
So first of all, can you introduce a little bit of yourself, about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm James Reed. I was born in the U.S. I grew up in Singapore, as I always tell my students, way back in the day before Singapore was built up in the big city that it is now. And that was many, many years ago, so I'm quite old. But yeah, so I was born in the U.S. and grew up in Singapore.
Yeah, so what is inspired you to become a teacher?
So what inspired me the most to become a teacher was when I was in the university, I got a part-time job tutoring students. So I was a math tutor. And I wasn't initially going to be a math teacher, but I enjoyed working with students so much during those couple of years that I was in university that I thought to myself, hey, if I'm having this much fun teaching people math, why not become a math teacher? Yeah, use my skills and help other students.
And what's about your education background?
So my education background is a couple of different degrees. I do have an education degree. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Education. I'm a mathematician, so I have a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics and Statistics. And then I have my Master's degree in Ed Tech, and I have what's called an Education Specialist degree in Education Leadership.
That's interesting. From your experience, how is education in other countries different from education in Vietnam?
You know, there's a lot of similarities and overlap, of course, but if you're asking about differences, I guess mainly it's just culture. Yeah, sure, it's just culture that is different. Students are students all around the world, right? I mean, we're all human and we all learn in the same capacities or the same methodologies. But if you're asking about differences, I would just say cultural differences is the biggest identifying thing between, from what I've experienced at least, between teaching, say, like in the Middle East or teaching here in Asia. So really just culture.
So why did you choose Vietnam to stay?
So, you know, I chose Vietnam just by chance, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just by chance. I mean, I was in the Middle East for a number of years, and I thought it was time for a change. And I knew I wanted to come somewhere in Asia, and Vietnam was kind of the first place that responded to me. In fact, I got the message from Mr. Joe and had a chat with Mr. Joe, and I liked the idea of the school, and I liked how he promoted the school, and so I wound up here in Vietnam, and I haven't regretted my decision at all. I absolutely love it here. The students are terrific. I enjoy teaching. The students are bright. They're quick. They're excellent in mathematics, and so it's something that I just enjoyed a lot being here in Vietnam.
Oh, so how many countries that you have been through?
So if you count my home country, this is my fourth country. So I'm not really super experienced in the international realm. I've only had a couple of countries under my belt in terms of experience, but it's the number of years as well that I have. So I've been teaching for quite a long time.
So have you ever to change your style of teaching to fit in the country?
Oh, absolutely. You got to change your style. I mean, not even just for the country, but also for the sake of trying to get better, right? I mean, there's times when I was first starting out, there were lessons that I had that just did not go well, and I was like, man, I got to make an improvement on that. And so, you know, you look at those kinds of things and you think to yourself, how can I improve this lesson to make it better for the students? And so, yeah, I'm always changing things up. There's things that I do, and I think to myself, I could have done that better. How can I make this more understandable so that the students get what I'm talking about? And there's some things that are just, you know, naturally difficult to explain, and I always look for ways to try to make it easier and better for students to understand.
That's led perfectly to the next question.
Oh, okay.
What has shaped your current teaching style?
So my current teaching style is probably best identified with constructivism. So I like when students can construct their own knowledge. What has made the biggest change is probably my second school that I was at. It was a big project-based school, and initially I was kind of a little bit nervous about being project-based because I just didn't have a whole lot of ideas with that. But I think that changed me the most because when I started doing projects, I noticed a lot more engagement from the students. The students enjoyed it more, and made the students, it pushed the students to be able to create think. And of course, use some mathematics as well. I try to incorporate as much as possible in mathematics, but it's also about how to experiment and try to make things better as well, right? So that's one of the biggest things.
So one of the most problem that everyone is curious about is the relationship between the teacher and the student. So what do you think about building a friendship like relationship with your student?
So, you know, I think so long as you maintain professional boundaries that's my overall goal, is to make people in general hate math a little bit less. most people I talk to just absolutely hate math, and I think to myself, if I can just make them hate math a little bit less, then I've done my job, you know?
Yeah.
Very few people actually love math.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so it's just, that's been my experience so far, right? Even adults, when I talk to adults, they're like, oh, you're a math teacher? I hate math. That's like the first comment I get. Like, what do you do? Oh, I'm a math teacher. Oh, I hate math, you know? So my goal is just to try to make people hate math a little bit less.
Yeah. Thank you for your sharing,
Yeah,
and
thank
this is
you.
the end of the interview.
Okay, well, thank you for such good questions. Okay, take care now. Thanks.
Okay.
Cheers.
Yeah.